Hello, I'm Emma and I'm the Lead Officer for Domestic Homicide Reviews in West Sussex. Welcome to this presentation that's being delivered by the Safeguarding Children Partnership, Safeguarding Adults Board and Safer West Sussex Partnership. I will be delivering this presentation alongside Rue, the Safeguarding Adults Board Manager, and Lucy, the Learning and Development Manager for the Safeguarding Children Partnership. This presentation is being produced with four aims: to increase knowledge and awareness amongst professionals of reviews in West Sussex, including the statutory basis for these. Secondly, to increase knowledge and awareness of key shared themes being seen across our reviews. Thirdly, to share improvement actions that have been undertaken in response to these themes. And finally, to consider further actions that professionals can consider as part of continuing professional development.
Hi, I'm Rue and I'm the manager of the West Sussex Safeguarding Adults Board. So to begin, we will firstly let you know about our reviews. Local child safeguarding practice reviews, safeguarding adult reviews and domestic homicide reviews all have different criteria. However, their shared primary purpose is to identify improvements for how agencies safeguard and promote the welfare and health of children and adults, and they seek to prevent or reduce the risk of reoccurrence of similar incidents.
Hello, I'm Lucy and I'm the Learning and Development Officer for the Safeguarding Children Partnership. Working Together to Safeguard Children 2018 is statutory guidance which sets out the requirements for Safeguarding Children partnerships to undertake learning reviews known as Local Safeguarding Children's Practice Reviews or LSCPRs. These reviews may be undertaken when a child has died or been seriously harmed and abuse or neglect is known or suspected. However, meeting the criteria does not mean that we must automatically carry out a review. Instead, it is for our safeguarding partners to determine whether a review is appropriate by considering whether the case highlights improvements needed, any recurrent themes in the safeguarding and promotion of the welfare of children, or concerns regarding two or more organisations or agencies working together. To decide whether to undertake an LSCPR, we first of all hold a rapid review, which gathers facts about the serious safeguarding incident. To date this year, we held 5 rapid reviews, of which 2 have proceeded to LSCPRs. Learning identified from the rapid reviews is taken forward to effect changes needed as quickly as possible.
The Care Act 2014 sets out that safeguarding adults boards, known as SABs, have a statutory duty to undertake a safeguarding adults review, known as a SAR, when an adult has died and the SAB knows or suspects that the death resulted from abuse or neglect. This is whether or not this was suspected before the adult died. Or an adult has experienced serious abuse or neglect which has resulted in permanent harm, reduced capacity of quality of life, either physically or psychologically, or the individual would have been likely to have died but for an intervention. And there is a concern that partner agencies could have worked more effectively to protect the adult. In 2021 to 22, we published 6 reviews. In 2022 to 23, we have published 2 reviews so far and 4 are in progress. All our SARs with accompanying learning briefings and podcasts can be accessed on our website.
Domestic homicide reviews, known as DHRs, were established on a statutory basis under the Domestic Violence Crime of Victims Act 2004, with guidance published in 2011 being replaced by later guidance in 2016. A DHR is a review of the circumstances in which the death of a person aged 16 or over has or appears to have resulted from violence, abuse, or neglect by a person to whom he or she was related or with whom he or she was or had been in an intimate personal relationship, or a member of the same household as himself, and it's held with a view to identifying the lessons to be learnt from the death. Also, where a victim took their own life by suicide and the circumstances give rise to concern, for example, it emerges that there was coercive controlling behaviour in the relationship, a review should be undertaken, even if a suspect is not charged with an offence or they are tried and acquitted.
We now want to share with you that across our reviews there are common learning themes. These are the child and adult's voice, risk assessment, professional curiosity and multi-agency working. So let's look at the first theme, the child and adult's voice. In LSCPRs, we have found that the child's voice can be lost, particularly when looking at their day-to-day life and when assessing risk. As part of our learning from rapid reviews and LSCPRs, we explore how was the race, culture, faith and ethnicity of the child and their family considered by practitioners, and did cultural consideration impact on practice? How did any disability, physical or mental health issues and any identity factors in the child and their family impact on the child's lived experience and on practice? And were any recognised risk factors present or absent, and did they play a significant part in the child's lived experience? These help us to understand how the child's voice was listened to, heard and acted upon by practitioners. For safeguarding adult reviews, the 4 SARs shown on the slide identified a need to improve person-centred practice. In response, a learning briefing and podcast was created on making safeguarding personal, which references also professional curiosity and person-centred approaches learning resources. In each domestic homicide review, the voice and lived experience of the victim is central and should be heard. It is an opportunity to acknowledge the profound loss experienced by those left behind, whilst engaging with the family members in a trauma-informed way. This approach ensures the review reflects the life of the victim accurately and respectfully, assisted through the review of information and accounts provided by agencies and friends.
Our second shared learning theme is risk assessment. In local safeguarding children's practice reviews, they have identified the need through recent rapid reviews to ensure that multi-agency assessments of risk are undertaken, and that in turn leads to effective support and intervention. This includes, for example, looking at the role of fathers and male caregivers. Assessing presenting risks and/or protective factors is key to ensuring a child-centred assessment of risk. Risk assessment is a significant learning area in safeguarding adult reviews, with the thematic SAR highlighting a need to improve assessing and managing risks at all levels. The review for TD also told us that there was a lack of multi-agency risk assessment and a lack of action to address risk factors. Please see the Safeguarding Adults Board learning resources to support your learning and practice on this. In half of the domestic homicide reviews completed to date in West Sussex, neither coercive control or domestic abuse has been evident. The reviews acknowledge the importance of identifying when someone is a victim of domestic abuse, recognising warning signs, coercive and controlling behaviour, and the ability to assess the risk posed to any victim and respond safely and effectively. Later in this learning briefing, we reference additional learning, tools and available training.
We are now moving on to our third shared learning theme, professional curiosity. For LSCPRs, we need to understand why the second question was not asked to test or triangulate information provided by children and their adult caregivers, and also how to be professionally curious in the context of working with families where there are challenges around consistent and meaningful engagement. We have an extensive training programme, and as part of this, you can access multi-agency training on professional curiosity. Our training offer can be viewed on the Safeguarding Children Partnership website under the Training Calendar tab. For SARs, professional curiosity was linked in the BK review as an area of improvement needed when working with self-neglect. The Safeguarding Adults Board have learning resources as a result of this. Also, the Kingswood Organisational Review noted that there was no pattern identified or response to concerns. To mitigate this risk, the Safeguarding Adults Board Multi-Agency Quality Assurance and Safeguarding Information Subgroup meet monthly to consider emerging concerns, patterns and risks. DHRs recognise the importance of professionals having the confidence to be able to ask the right questions and explore if someone is feeling safe. Early identification is key to early intervention, and providing a safe and supportive space for a victim or survivor to be heard will help encourage early disclosures of abuse. This highlights the value of education and training for professionals, family and friends to help with responding to disclosures of domestic abuse in a supportive and safe way, and knowing what support is available.
We will now let you know of our fourth and final shared learning theme, multi-agency working. For LCSPRs, effective multi-agency working is essential to enable the safeguarding of children. Learning has identified key challenges around timely sharing of information to inform assessment of risk and, for example, when decisions are made, making sure that all of the professional network is aware and actively involved in decision making. The Safeguarding Children's Partnership are looking at how best to support professionals to resolve professional differences so that they have the confidence to challenge one another and, where necessary, escalate concerns about a child. This includes using the West Sussex Safeguarding Children Partnership's escalation policy. You can find details on the Safeguarding Children's Partnership website. Our business support team will be happy to support you to use this. There is also a range of support on the website for professionals, including learning from reviews. Please contact the Children's Safeguarding Partnership to obtain a password for accessing these additional resources. Multi-agency working is also a significant and repeating theme for SARs and features in 4 reviews, including a lack of information sharing, multi-agency decision making and risk assessment, multi-agency working with complex cases, and the use of escalation processes. In response, the Safeguarding Adults Board have sought assurance via self-assessment process and case file audits. These highlighted the need for information sharing and published learning resources on multi-agency working. The Safeguarding Adults Board also have 2 multi-agency subgroups: multi-agency risk management, known as MARM, which considers complex cases where risk remains high, and the Quality Assurance and Safeguarding Information Group, which works to share information and respond to risk with providers. For DHRs, it's acknowledged that effective information sharing and multi-agency working in response to domestic abuse supports risk reduction and increases safety for victims and survivors. Nationally and locally, identified high-risk domestic abuse cases are referred into the Multi-Agency Risk Assessment Conference, known as MARAC. This is a process to jointly create risk management, safety and support plans. The Domestic Homicide Review Board are currently developing a collaborative agreement in response to victims and survivors for cases where the MARAC threshold of risk has not been reached. This helps to evidence how agencies are working together with victims and survivors to share information and ultimately improve their safety.
Moving on now to our strategies to promote learning to minimise future risk, this slide shows a variety of ways in which we are taking forward learning both internally and with others. By taking forward these actions, we are aiming to minimise the same themes featuring in our future reviews and thereby demonstrating that we have all understood where improvement is needed and have adjusted and improved systems and practice.
Please consider the questions on this slide and share with colleagues to support your reflective learning and practice on the 4 themes covered in this presentation. Doing this will identify any gaps in your learning as well as your strengths and will contribute to every staff member's efforts to minimise future risk.
This next slide provides you with links to some of our resources, which are not only relevant to the themes in this presentation, but will be useful to you as CPD evidence. Our final slide provides our email addresses and our website links. Please do reach out to us if you have any queries and also to give us feedback on this presentation. Thank you very much for your time listening to us and, significantly, your support in minimising risk to the children and adults of West Sussex.